All right. Choke, no joke. We in the building, y'all. We in the building. So, what you call it? Neckbone is over here doing a new round of interviews, right? So, he's out here to clean up whatever he didn't help mess up or help the narrative that, the crap in the bums first channel be sitting there trying to convince us of everything involving Tupac case, everything except for the police being involved in it. So Neckbone, when he first came out and did his interviews on Vlad, he said a few things that had me personally like, okay, something ain't right here. Because some of his story didn't match up with some of the story that was told through different people. And he was there. Like he said that Suge and Pac and them, they chased the Cadillac. He said they bust the right and chased the Cadillac after the shooting, right? When mostly every other person that tells that story say Suge made a U-turn. Even Suge says himself he made a U-turn on Flamingo and Covile and went back up to Las Vegas Boulevard. But Neckbone said he made it right and they chased the Suge and them chased the Cadillac. Chi Town, what up? Um, so I'm live on YouTube. Link is in my story. Um, so when he said that, I started paying more attention to his interviews and really listening to what he said. And then the first interview with Vlad, um, he was asked about the story about that Michael Moore talked about how Tupac and Suge was going to have a fight, and how Michael Moore got in the middle of them and told Suge, "Yo, I'm still his bodyguard. I can't let you do that." Right? Uh, when Neckbone did his interview with Vlad, he corroborated that story and said that, yeah, they was beefing and he never seen Pac that heated before. Like, Pac was beefing, basing up his Suge face. But, they still brothers, is what he said, in that same conversation. Right. So when he corroborated Michael Moore's story, remember Michael Moore is also the one who heard over Reggie's radio, got him. And then the white person saying, um, hey, no talking over the radio, you know. So Michael Moore clearly wasn't lying about the stuff that he was saying because Neckbone had the same story. Now, today, in this new round of interviews that he's doing, you can tell that these crap people are trying to cover up the truth or don't want what I believe happened, they don't want what Neckbone saying on their channel to corroborate my theory. But as much as you could see this interview that they did with Neckbone, how they chopped it and chopped it and chopped it and chopped it, they didn't just let him talk. You could tell they was trying to get him to stick to a certain narrative, but he's just keeping it real. And with him keeping it real, the truth is just coming out, right? Um, what's the one thing? He was like, it wasn't no East Coast, West Coast thing because Suge, Puff, Pac, Big, all was cool at one time. He said Pac is the one that started the East Coast, West Coast thing. It wasn't Suge. He said Pac was the one talking about, yo, we from the West Coast, West Side, and woo 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 woo. He was like, that wasn't Suge. He said him and Puff was cool. Pac and Big was cool. He said, like, he don't know what happened for it to blow up the way that it did, but they all was cool with each other. He's like, Pac is the one that started the East Coast, West Coast thing. Not Death Row, not Suge. Pac did. And he was like, he was looking at Pac like, nigga, you from the East Coast. What you talking about? You know, but he like everybody overlooked it. You know what I'm saying? And then want to check Pac and be like, yo, you from New York, you from Baltimore. What are you talking about, East Coast? He was like, but being that he was Pac, everybody just let it ride. So what he also says, they must have asked him about, what I was saying about uh Pac and Suge having, I mean, yeah, Pac and Suge having the beef and Pac wanting to leave Death Row. They don't want to put that narrative out there because they don't want to look at Las Vegas Metro Police Department to start looking at Reggie and all these other theories, right? So they trying to cut it out, but they not trying to cut out all the content. So they put as much as they thought they can. That's not going to, so it don't look like what Neckbone is saying is fitting my narrative. So they try to cut it up as much as they can, but still in all, they failed, right? Because Neckbone says Pac has some with a label that he wanted to do. Like Pac wanted to do his own label, and he said, and Suge talked him out of it and got at him and started talking to him about Death Row East, right? Now, that goes to show you again that Pac was leaving Death Row, even though he technically wasn't really signed to Death Row, but he fulfilled his obligation with the 3 albums, the double album, All Eyes on Me, the Machiavelli, and he was doing his own thing. It's the same thing that goes with what his aunt was saying. It goes the same thing with uh Yasmin Fuller was saying. It go the same thing with Tracy was saying. The same thing with Gobi was saying. The same thing with you know, other people that was dealing with Pac. That Pac was leaving Death Row and was trying to go do his own thing. Now, in this round of interviews, uh Neckbone confirms it, right? Because he says Pac had something that he wanted to do with his own label, but Suge got at him and was like, nah, man, yo, you gotta do this Death Row East thing, woo, 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 woo. And then he was like, yo, Pac said that he was with it with the Death Row East thing, and it was gonna be Pac, Eric B. He said MC Hammer, and of course we know the dude Big D from New York was supposed to be a part of that too. So the Neckbone says, so that gave Pac the energy to feel like, oh, he would be doing his own label. But Pac still wanted to go off and do his own thing, right?